A few weeks ago, I received a brochure from the team at C&D Consultancy. Now, C&D is a company for which I have a huge amount of respect and admiration. As you're about to hear, they are a 3-time World Demolition Award winner. But the bit of the brochure that stood out for me was the fact that the average cost of a health and safety executive fine is currently around £75,000. Now, bearing in mind that average will be brought down by a huge number of lower cost fines for more minor indiscretions, that seemed like an astonishing figure. So I reached out to Mike Kehoe to ask him about those fines and how Mike and the C&D team were helping demolition contractors avoid such hefty penalties.
Yeah, it is a big number, and in terms of the size of the fine, it's generally based on a percentage of the company turnover. So, if you're a very large company, they will fine you a percentage, and it can be, as in some cases we've seen, as 10% of the company turnover, which is a massive figure if you're a large company out there. So and so it's a real big figure. Where do we fit in? Well, I think. For the big, large companies in the UK, we'd probably not fit into them at all because they've got their own internal side of it. It's the sort of small, medium, or growing, expanding companies that I think we can offer the expertise that we have here and fit into their company. So we could sort of hand in glove with these companies where we can advise them on demolition, different techniques. Always, I say to people, if you get us up in an early stage, the planning side of it is so important. So we've got ourselves, we've got a number of demolition engineers, we've got 2 full-time chartered structural engineers, only dealing in demolition. So at this point now, if you can get us in early, get us in planning, I think that's where we can cut out. And I think the idea of us of sending this brochure around to companies is to say that if you haven't got that expertise in site in your own company, we can bring it to the party, and again, as you can see, not a huge amount at a very early stage to have us 24/7 access to us.
I'll come back to that part of it in just a second, but I've talked about this before, is the fact that you've got, the top tier of the UK demolition world have the luxury of having an in-house team to keep their finger on the pulse of legislation and changing regulations, whatever HSE campaigns and initiatives that are taking place. But most demolition firms don't have that luxury. I guess that's really where you guys come in, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we sort of... I use the analogy sometimes as a file, and people look at me and say, what's it? We're a file on the shelf. Pull us out or use us whenever you need us. If you need someone to take a pragmatic view that you're dealing with a new client and you want some comfort of sitting in a meeting with them, helping to say, what we can do to deliver the project. If they haven't got a technical director or a demolition engineer, we can come in and we can assist them on that one. If you need a structural engineer, we can do that. If they've got a really complicated presentation to put together, we do 2D, 3D, 4D modeling now. So we offer that. If you want a structural design, I say we've got 2 in-house structural engineers. We've got a temporary works engineer who can do some design. So we can fit in what companies haven't got at the minute. So, and another thing is you might need a safety audit. You might just need a quick review. Another thing is you might just need a little bit of comfort to say, do you know what, Mike, is this the right way we've designed it? And we can look at it and say, yeah, if you can do it this way, or we can tweak it, or absolutely, it's 100%. Give you an example today. TRD is a big demolition company. Sent me through some method statements today. Mike, are these right? Are they okay? Have I missed anything? And, we sent an email back to the client to say, no, they're compliant. And in fact, the best practice. So they've done a really good methodology from in there. So for our point of view, we can just be a comfort or a reassurance, or we can take the whole role and we can help design the methodology. We can then put a scope of works together and we can design it all the way through from in there. So that's what we offer demolition contractors who haven't got what, say, maybe a Keltbray or an Erith or a McGee's or something like that, haven't got internal. We offer that package. So any demolition company can bid for any job in the UK and be knowledgeable, what's the word I'm looking for? Can be rest assured that they've got the right expertise to go in with them as a bolt-on to their company.
There were a couple of other things that really struck me about your brochure. The first was the fact that the cost of that service starts at just £40 a week, which is a couple of grand a year, which that's not a great deal of cost for that level of peace of mind. But the other thing that really stood out, I think, was the breadth of service. Take me through exactly what somebody gets for their regular consultancy.
Well, what we wanted to do is we wanted to price it right, so people didn't. If it was £5, 10, £15,000, I think a lot of small demolition companies would maybe steer away from it, and we want to bring the demolition companies into it so they get the right expertise. So first off, you get a third-party company which only deals in demolition, asbestos, and explosives. That's the three areas that we deal in. So if you're dealing in demolition, asbestos, or any explosives, you've got us here. We're your third-party health and safety advisors. There's the first one. Second one, 24-hour access. Okay, we've just had a similar one where one of our clients has had a collapse, not on their project, on a council project. They were called in. We were there within 6 hours from the next day to help them out from there. So you get us 24 hours. There's all of us on here. Another thing is you get us at the end of the phone. If there's an issue that you want to do, a bit like what TRD done today, send us through some meta statements. We have the quick care, so you look over them, say, yeah, that's fine. You get that reassurance and that backup from in there. And all we do, Mark, as you know, is just demolition. So we think that we're not saying we're the world's best at it. We think that we're a good, steady consultancy company that deals in that side of it there. So they get good, competent, and what we think is sort of really, really pragmatic advice on demolition. And that's what they get from in there. Plus, then, if they want further services, that comes in. We discount any further services that they want to go forward, such as method statements, risk assessments, audits. And again, we produce in that figure there, wherever they are in the UK, we will do an in-depth audit once a year for them as well. I know if they're an NFDC company, you get that off the NFDC, but we'll give you another one from in there, which you can say to your clients, look, if they're an NFDC company, we've had an NFDC audit, but we've also had the C&D audit. Okay, so we can do both from in that. So anywhere where they're based in the UK, we will get out to them that year and we'll do them an audit from in there. Also, other companies, they want more audits, so that's something we can talk about going forward. But that's what we do from in there. And I think then what we also do is there's a backup, a sort of chat room where we produce any legislation changes. I mean, obviously, we're talking about now the CDM regs are starting to look to change from in there. Asbestos is starting to change a little bit different. We'll put all that legislation into a chat room and a forum where they can access it from in there. And we've got a breadth of information on our computers as well, so we can send through from there. We've taken on recently an office manager that's going to deal purely with this, so that the straight interface from there, they can deal with it. And we're quite quick on getting information back to clients as well. So within the same day, we hope to get the information that they require back. And you've got our phone numbers. So you've got mine. People know Matthews. We've still got John Woodward working for us as a consultant. We've got our 2 structural engineers and our temporary works. You need anything, you've got our number. You can phone us up. If we're not busy doing something, then a lot of our clients WhatsApp me, send me a text. Can you come back to me? Can you have a look at this? And we'll try and help over the phone as best we can from in there. But it's not just purely based for demolition contractors. We've now had a lot of clients taking it up on us at the minute. So a lot of clients have been taking this up. So it works well.
We'll come back to whether you're the world's best in just a few seconds. But there was a couple of other things I wanted to ask you. One of the things that I know that you're very active with and very helpful with is emergencies. Having just read this Dangerous Structure Emergency Response book, I'm all excited about emergency demolition at the moment. But you get called out to that kind of thing on a fairly regular basis, don't you?
Yeah, well, I've literally just got the book in the post this morning from Paul Ford, so I'm looking forward to doing that one. I'm going away in a week to do some work over in Saudi, so I'm going to take that with me and have a look at that one. But I think over the last few years we've had several ones. Obviously, we did the Nottingham fire one. We did the collapse in Wrexham about 8 weeks ago, which we're dealing with, and we've just done. We've had an emergency one out in Bothwells for Powys County Council, where we've been working with them and the CSI So we do get called out an awful lot from in there. I'm looking forward to reading Paul's book, but I know with emergencies, it's obviously the first thing that we look to do is to make it safe, to get everyone out the way and to make sure that the structure is safe, that they're not going to produce any further collapse, and then run the process of from in there. So asbestos monitoring, asbestos background, making the building safe, scaffolding. The one we just done in mid Wales, which was 2 properties in the centre of the town, had burned down, had done a number of damage to adjoining buildings. So we've made safe. We produced structural scaffolding to protect the buildings, and we've made safe. And that finished early this week. So hence why I'm probably a bit unshaven, a bit unkempt today, because we've been on that job for about 4 weeks non-stop. That's 7 days a week all the way through, culminating with 2 24-hour shifts working with the police and the CSI to preserve the crime scene and to get the crime scene for the evidence that they wanted. So that one's been a particularly strange one, but really rewarding, and I've learned a lot from working with the police and the CSI.
Now, learning things, I think, is one of the things. It's not really itemized in your brochure, but I think it's probably one of your key skills, because I guess there is a temptation in demolition circles we'll do it this way because we've always done it like that.
Yeah.
But because you work across such a broad spectrum of clients, applications, different types of work, different types of clients as well, you bring a whole new perspective as well, don't you?
Well, I mean, it's not uncommon. I've sort of told it from everyone that I'm 3rd generation of demolition within the Kehoe family. My father, as I go, worked in demolition for over 40 years. My grandfather started his company in 1912. So I've learned a lot from them. Where I feel I'm lucky is when I left my original, when I was MD over a job in Manchester, and I went to work in London, and now having joined John just after 2013. I see different sites and different techniques every single day of the week from different jobs. So I'm totally open. And one of the things that my dad did say to me is, if anybody tells you that they're an expert in demolition and they know it all, walk away from them, because nobody knows everything about demolition. And I don't, progress to say that I know everything about it. I learn every day. Every day for me is a school day. I'm not blasé to think that I know all. Far from it. Some of the techniques that I go on site and look at it and think, wow, that was amazing. I can use that again. And that knowledge that I learn every day, I pass on to other clients. And I think I'm of an age now where I'd like to try and pass on the knowledge to everyone. So I've done podcasts with yourselves. I've done car parks, which I particularly enjoy talking about, concrete structures. So, and now, with this book on emergency ones, I want to look at it, I'll review it, and I've said to Paul, I'll send him some feedback, what I think of it, and then maybe we add further stuff to that again. And again, from that one, I'll add further knowledge to the industry, because, again, we're an aging industry, so we need to pass the information we've got back to people in the industry. Luckily, we've got, Matthew works for me. I pass my knowledge on to him, and hopefully one day he'll pass his knowledge on to there. So I think we need to pass all our knowledge on moving forward.
Yeah, I don't want to seem to be blowing smoke up your rear end, but I know you and I bumped into each other on a safety job a few years back, and you were actually charging the building. And,
yes.
and it wasn't because they were short of staff. It was because you were keen to do it, to learn it, so that you actually understood it intrinsically as well as a full-time blaster.
I reiterate the fact that I love to learn about demolition. I've got 2 loves in life, Everton and demolition. So, those 2 things from there. Thankfully, I'm slightly better at demolition than Everton are at football at the minute. But they're the 2 things that I really enjoy. So I look to learn if anything else. And then, I wanted to take my skills further. So I did all my blasting courses. I did my shop firing. I did my supervisory course. I'm doing a course next year at Cranfield, again, further explosives, just for my own knowledge. I did a master's degree. That was fantastic through the ID. What a learning experience that was. Thankfully, I've come out of that with a master's degree. I've now put my start together. I'm hoping to move forward and do my PhD. We're doing other courses on a daily basis. So it's that knowledge and thirst that I've got, and hopefully it comes through my enthusiasm and love for the industry, that I take forward into everything that I do. And I learn every single day. I learn new techniques. The scaffolding contractors that came in from Aberystwyth on this job, which was in Wales, were superb. And they put flying soldier beams where you could possibly put them. So I learned new techniques last week with the scaffolders. You know, I learned working with the CSI on the police what they look for in the crime scene. So I'm more knowledge from in that one, and I was producing daily reports for the police. So I was really, you know, pleased to learn about that. So my knowledge and my learning happens every day. And like, I'm in my mid-50s now, and I've been at this game for 35 years, and I'm still learning every single day from in there. And I enjoy what it is. You know, new techniques to me is great. It works. It's a new one. I was on a job the other day, and they were using, you know, old tires to do as a sort of a crash deck. Worked wonderfully well. Job went well. Great technique. So, you know, new techniques, old techniques, you know, I learn every day from it.
Now, I can't let you go without asking you about your latest World Demolition Award triumph. I know C&D won an award while John Woodward was at the helm. For you to have won it now, I mean, obviously it proves the fact that the ownership has shifted and it's been very smooth. But that must have been a very, very proud moment to win again under your stewardship.
Well, we've won it 3 times, Mark. We've been involved in it 3 times. So
I do apologise.
So no problem. So one was purely under John when I was working under John. One was under the transition when I was sort of transitioning to take over from John, and then this one on the last one was purely the team that's in there for me now. So yeah, I mean, immensely proud, hard work. I mean, the Jersey project was. I mean, I'll do something for you then, send it over to you. But it was a really, really tricky job. It was the biggest asbestos removal the Channel Islands have ever had. We had to reopen the tip on special days. There was that much asbestos coming out. We worked hand in glove with the HSE, or the HSI as it's known in Jersey. Again, we also worked with the 2007 CDM reg. So Jersey was working on 2007 CDM. We tweaked it. We modified the paperwork to get us up to the same levels as 2015. We changed the asbestos not the regulations, but the way of working slightly different. Working with the HSI, we had weekly visits from in there. We changed the notification different from over there. So we worked really hard from in, and then we were hit with, as you can imagine, over the 5-year period, we were hit with Brexit. Really quite difficult. And then we had COVID. And, you know, to fair play to Mark Bryan and his team at J. Bryan, they kept their men on site for long periods of time without going home because of the on-island restrictions. We got special dispensation to fly in and fly out. Obviously, we had to have COVID tests before the week started. We had to have a COVID test in Liverpool before we left. We got a COVID test on the island, and we were tested daily until we left, and then we had to test again to go back in. So to get this level up there, you know, we worked really hard. And one of the things that people don't realise on that one is that they had to take a cable car on the side of a mountain through a 4-foot door. That's all we had. We had 4 foot wide by 6 foot high. That's how we got the whole of that cable car through. Nearly 500 ton of steel, 1,000 ton of concrete, and we had to landscape it from in there and produce back boxes and everything through this door, through a former fortress doorway, next to a live school, next to a live nursery, next to a live sports centre. So that was really difficult to get through from there. So everyone worked well on that one. And then subsequently going back onto the swimming pool, highest point of the island, under a huge amount of wind loading, taking down a building that had a steel frame that had been sprayed with flock all internally, and they've done an overspray. So basically what happens there is after they've stopped spraying the asbestos, they've just sprayed it down the channel. So we had to catch up the overspray from in there. Then they relayed it twice. And then, as anyone who's done a swimming pool will know, the number of asbestos in there was difficult. And the beams and the steel work from there again, we're not lucky on the island. We had one high reach, and we managed to utilise that from in there. And we had 180-ton crane on the island, and we utilised that as well. So we planned it to what we had on the island. So we couldn't bring stuff in from the UK. The only stuff that we used on the island. So we really, really worked hard to get it done, and it's a success. So much so that I think, look, the World Demolition Award was a great, and we're all extremely proud of it. Somebody rang us up and said, when are you starting the demolition on there? And we'd finished. So I think that was my real achievement, to say someone didn't even realise that we'd finished the demolition, and they rang up and asked when we were starting. So I think that was my big achievement on there.
Yeah, unfortunately, that doesn't tend to come with a trophy, does it? Now,
No,
I guess the final question really is: if somebody wants the insight and the oversight from the 3-time World Demolition Award winner, where do they find you? What's the best place to go?
Well, most people today, it's our website. So, C&D Consultancy, you just put that in, that will come in from in there. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook. Again, most people in the industry can get hold of me. My phone numbers are on there from in there. So, that's a simple way to start from in there. I believe we're advertising on your website as well. So
I believe you are.
I believe we are. So we've chosen yourself. Obviously, you act on our behalf to pass information across as you've done before. So that always helps. So yeah, we're there. We're going to start sending some flyers out to companies as well from in there, moving forward. But going back to the initial question, and just to finish off there, ultimately, yes, it's a business decision. I've changed how our businesses run a little bit from there now. When we're now, giving this information and looking after our contractor clients. But at the end of the day, the thing that for me is if I can act for the company, prevent an accident, prevent a catastrophe, prevent a fatality, prevent an injury, prevent an overrun of someone's business, prevent a time, give some advice, give back my 35 years there for £40 a week. I think it's a win-win for everyone. Yes, we need to generate funds and turnover, but at the end of the day, I want to give back what I can to the industry for that. I've always wanted to give it back. And 9 times out of 10, people ring me up and I'll always give them information and help. I'll never walk away and say, no, I can't do that to you. I'll always give back a feedback and assistance where possible. So that said, we just want to make sure that the industry goes better. There's some great people in the industry, NFDC, IDE, all pushing in the right direction. We're pushing as well to make sure it's from in there. But there's other demolition consultancies that do a great job in the industry. We just want to make sure people go to work in the morning, come home, and if I can offer any advice and assistance to that basis, help them the planning, that will give me as much pleasure from in that.